Here over at SubScribestar. So these people have a whole gaming universe based off of this one game. It's going to be interconnected. It's like, well, you don't have an interconnected anything if nobody bought the first game that everything is kind of founded on. All you had to do was just not be woke. And yeah, I know the left wing is spurgs out over that word, but you know what we mean. It's like just if you stop it, you'll sell games. The first company, whether it's comics, movies, or games, that decides to turn the dial off on this is going to be just printing money. And it's weird that nobody wants to do that. So Sweet Baby is where woke games go to DEI. And I can't imagine what kids back in the day with the Atari 2600 being told that in 40 years there'd be childish, weirdo, blue-haired freaks with the sides of their heads shaved, bitching and moaning about the patriarchy and pronouns, trying to explain to people that feminists have invaded games and need to make everything ugly and lame. Keep in mind that all these woke games are made for SJWs. You're not the target audience. Yikes, my guy. If you don't like it, don't buy it. A challenge accepted. If you stop giving them money, the games go away, because even these people will run out of money eventually. So Sweet Baby developed Unknown 9 Awakening, sees the peak player count decline by 40% in the first week. So the other thing is to get online and express yourself about this, crap all over these freaks, and explain that diversity and feminism is cancer, which it is. It's something like 95% of gamers hate diversity, and everyone assumed that feminism had died a few years ago, so they're kind of surprised to see that they're still around and even fatter than before and still single, though. Anita Sarkeesian had some wedding ceremony in Sweden. It was probably the saddest thing that I've ever seen somebody voluntarily take part in. She celebrated her 40th birthday by throwing a party with a wedding theme. So she got to dress as a bride, like as a cosplay, instead of just taking any time in the past 20 plus years to just get married, have kids, and like there's nothing getting in the, oh no, I had this fabulous career of feminist frequency and grifting for millions of dollars. Yeah, but I mean, it kind of doesn't compare to having a bunch of kids and probably grandkids by this time. I can't imagine the amount of pharmaceuticals that you would need to ingest to consider that a good idea. And same thing for the guests. You'd have to be just high as kites to attend such a bizarre circle jerk festival. And I don't know, she's kind of a sociopath, so I assume that her friends are on the same page. Anyway, it's time for gamers to rise up and put these woke companies in the grave where they belong. It's time for weaponized autism. You just don't need to buy the newest games. You can treat them the way the treatment Hollywood is getting, where people are looking at Hollywood and realizing, oh, you're not going to turn this ship around, are you? It's like Hollywood. It feels like Hollywood had a run, and it's definitely on the downward decline now. So in case you don't follow the game industry, there are these political commissar companies run by members of the BLTVG, whatever, and obese, childless feminists, and they take the games that some Asian men made and insert political correctness into the games. It's just as crazy as it sounds. It kind of sounds like grifting, but I don't really blame the people. It's like they're just, if Sweet Baby and Black Girl Games can make, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars putting Frankfurt School nonsense in games, it's on the games company to just not hire them. How hard is that? Like, these people really don't exert any control on social media. You can just ignore them. And ultimately, it's on you, the customer, to not pay for these things. And eventually, the companies will get the message, because they'll catch up with Hollywood and realize, like, they're burning money when they should be printing it. So there's a disconnect between the audience and the companies, between the people who make the games, movies, and comics. They're all insanely woke communist nut jobs drinking the Kool-Aid, but they're funded by the globalist, anti-white, BlackRock type of companies who are twisting their arms to put this stuff in there. And then there are the audience for these products who are not far left-wing toxic pussies. They're just normal people, and if anything, people who are playing games are probably less politically correct than average. And you know, Hollywood is for a wide audience, but games are what, 98-9% male who are actually buying the games. Or we're not talking about like the free games in the Android Apple store kind of thing. So Hollywood has been making woke movies that have been bombing, and they're not slowing down yet. But eventually they will, because you can't, unless you're the government, you can't print money out of nothing. Thanks, Federal Reserve. And this woke push has also come to gaming, and eventually it has to burn out because the audience is male, and men are not politically correct. And there's the panty sniffing male soy boy perverts on the left, but they're kind of honorary women. So what the left is doing is inserting non-white ugly women into everything, the affirmative action, diversity hire type of stuff, because they babble something about representation. You go, oh, okay, so you're putting like usually black girls in everything. They don't buy the games. I'm just guessing off the top of my head. I'm guessing that demographic is not the ones supporting these games. They don't buy the games, movies, or comics. It's who you can't represent someone who's not buying your product, and they go, oh, well, yeah, we don't actually. It's like theoretical represent. None of the things they're saying make sense because they don't even believe what they're saying. They're just so deep in an echo chamber that they're totally disconnected from the customer. So what all these globalist companies are doing, and why I cover this kind of pop culture, is they're doing social engineering, and unfortunately, it has been remarkably effective. If the person is exposed to the propaganda, which is up to you, people are not taught many defenses against brainwashing. I remember when we were kids, we were taught all about cults. It was usually some hot chick would try to get you involved in some kind of, Kool-Aid type of thing. But the reality is, like, those are, you can be taught to, like, oh, okay, this is, yeah, take your cult elsewhere, and that's, you're done with that. But the biggest cults are Larry Fink and Klaus Schwab and Disney and Netflix and Amazon. It's like that's the real danger. And there's no better brainwashing tool than the video format. And now that TV is finally on its way out, but a video screen is a video screen, and people have moved to streaming, and video games are becoming more movie-like. So the globalists are all over them to push as much globalist propaganda as fast as they can, while they can. Not a threat or anything. Madam Guillotine. The white pill is that we now have alternative media to point it out. We're dealing with these shape-shifting lizard people from outer space. One of the things they focus on is destroying continuity, the family, the male and female relationship, the dynamic, the natural organic dynamic that is told in stories, because they want to create these Bolshevik found families where you're rootless and basically easily enslaved. And part of that is making everything ugly. Feminists hate beauty. Communists do also. A lot of them are disingenuous freaks who want to bring the world down to their level instead of simply stop eating the junk food and get some exercise. But even to say that is triggering to them. Some leftists were talking about they knew that there was a civil war coming, and they were going to delete all these Hugo Boss types, you and I. And they go, oh, we'd probably we got to get in shape. We got to exercise. And everyone in the comments was just so triggered by that. And like, how dare you say that? And they're listing all their imaginary ailments and all a bunch of nonsense. It's like, but how do you think you're going to advance your interests if you're, 300 pounds in a handy-capable scooter or something? Anyway, why would anyone listen to feminists in the first place? That's just effing insane. This is not 2015 anymore. But beauty is the right-hand path. It's literally fascism. If you remember the Robert Heinlein book, Starship Troopers, and the movie, and the guy who made the movie was trying to put out one message and it was interpreted a different way. It's like it was a bunch of beautiful, fit people in clean, safe, quiet neighborhoods. It's like, sign us up. How dare you? How dare you? You have to want to like live in Detroit. Some obese rapper was talking about how dare Trump say Kamala's going to turn the country into Detroit. It's like, we're going to resilient like Detroit. And the people are going, yeah, we live in Detroit. It's a nightmare. Get us out of here, please. The thing is, beauty is fascism. I'm just going to be honest about that. I know they're not listening to that. They're more often than not. It's like, yeah, that's what people are all on board with. But instead of a hot, blonde, large-breasted Laura Croft character, you get ugly, brown, affirmative action characters. And to be fair, a lot of their messaging is mixed. Because if I was behind these if I was in one of these lizard meetings, I would be getting people. I would make the bread and circuses much sweeter, but they're like they've accelerated. I think honestly they've accelerated things too fast for their side, where they're just dialing up this woke to insane levels. Where people are starting to go, oh, I'm noticing the shimmering walls and the numbers and the matrix around me. It's like somebody's whispering to Neo that that something is going on. But their messaging is mixed because a lot of the people involved in this are flat out mentally ill. I mean, if you fly your friends to Sweden, probably on that grifting money you got from Feminist Frequency, and you dress up like a bride for your 41st wedding or birthday, I mean that's like they're on a different level than it's like how hard you were, reasonably attractive from 18 on up. It's like how hard would it have been just to find a guy to get married and pop out several kids? It's like you could still run a grifting website if you want, but the reality is if she had kids, if she had 4 kids, she wouldn't be on the left anymore because you naturally become a conservative when you have kids to protect. And this age she'd be a grandma by now probably. So the thing is they're not all on the same page. Like honestly, I'd be a better leftist than a leftist, just because these people are like they're not lying when they tell you all the medications they're on. It's not just one or two. It's like this medicine box, like a tackle box, a fishing tackle box for different trouts and I don't know blue whatever people fish, the different lures and whatnot. It's like this. They seem to I don't know, they seem to get some kind of validation from having these imaginary mental problems. And then I think they make themselves crazy and to virtue signal that they want to be POC so bad because they want to put themselves on the oppression hierarchy to the point that even other people have noticed it. Like the Dave Chappelle pointed it out kind of loosely a long time ago, and a bunch of other folks have pointed it out. Like these people are all they identify themselves as a minority now. And that came out a few months ago. I first started noticing that, and that's a weird flex because you go, "Oh, I'm queer, pan, furry, non-binary, questioning." You go, "So you're a minority now?" Like, yeah, basically Rosa Parks and storming the beaches. In their mind, that's we're punching Nazis. Your own grandfather? Go look at what he believed. In their minds, they've built themselves up as like, we're marginalized and oppressed, and we're being trans rights right now, or all kinds of like BLT stuff. And you go, see, like, I mean, none of this is real. This is just a fad, right? You're just a young person who needs attention. You get that, right? Like, maybe talk to somebody older. We all had fads, jeans jackets and Guess pins and like fads. I will say this is the darkest fad because as we approach Weimar, because they're a fad where you give your kids cross-sex hormones, puberty blockers, and then mutilate them and sterilize them. That's pretty fucking dark, if I'm being honest. I mean, it's just brutal to think all this is actually happening, and people are not. I wish I could go back and edit that guillotine comment out. I was just kidding, but anyway, the thing is, they're making these games and movies so woke that the cattle are starting to awaken to the knowledge that something else is going on. Clearly, you don't have billion-dollar companies repeatedly make feminist, diverse, race-swapped, gay-themed movies and like 2 race-mixing men adopting a kid or something, and when losing money just hand over fist. And the audience is not on board with that. It's like very clearly I'm saying, like, I'm just one of millions I represent millions of people who says, yeah, those are not our values. We're not, like, we don't believe in any of that kind of feminist diversity stuff. That's it. And like, obviously people agree with me because these movies lose millions of dollars. And yet they continue to do this. It's like something else is going on. Oh yeah, you bet your tight ass something else is going on. But people kind of push it out of their mind because it's just too much to think of. They don't want to consider what would be required to move things in a different direction. that companies are willing to lose money to push communism. But the arc is there's so much evidence of all these movies and games and comics that are coming out, and they just kind of sit there on the shelves. And you go, where is this money coming from? It's like they're printing it out of thin air, and the stuff tanks, but it just doesn't stop them. They just take another hit of some baby blood, and they design the next Rings of Power, or Dustborn, or Concord, or the Eternals, or Shang-Chi, or Black Adams, Black Widow, Shazam 2. I don't know if that was that woke. Wonder Woman 84. You get the idea. Like, you just look at the past 5 movies in just the superhero genre, and then you take up the net, which is the balance of the losses and the gains, and you go, there haven't been a whole lot of gains. Why don't you just make the kind of movies that get people in the theater? And they look at you like, Hugo Boss says what? Yeah, totally. That's a totally fair assessment. Just a normal, reasonable person who doesn't want to. Most of your audience is straight. I hate to say that. We're straight, normal people who. And most of the audience is very tribal, and yet Hollywood is pushing something that is 180 degrees from where the normal audience is headed. Like, and you're not getting money for this. Like, you see that you're making all this race swap crap, and Peter Pan's another great example. The Lost Boys. Yeah, how come girls? I mean, it was literally in the book. They go, girls are too smart to fall out of their prams. So you get these 2 little POC girls. Huh, interesting, Disney. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys all next episode.